Sabo versus Fujitora. That's right, my friends, one of the most epic battles of the entire Dressrosa arc is finally here. Sabo of the Revolutionaries versus Admiral Fujitora, the master of the gravitational pull. This week's episode also had the 18th opening for the One Piece anime series. Think about that for a second. The 18th opening! This series has been going on for frigging ever! First, let's talk about the positives this week. The brand new opening. It's called Hard Knock Days. It's a really nice intro. I'm going to have to hear the song a few more times, but the imagery is awesome. I especially love how they usually go through the entire roll call of all the Straw Hat Pirates and pretty much just showing off some of the major events which are going to be going down in the Dressrosa arc. People who do not read the manga, warning, there are some pretty big spoilers in this intro, especially at the end. There's a certain character that shows up who hasn't been formally introduced quite yet, but it really isn't going to destroy the entire experience. The intro itself is awesome. I especially love the sequence at the very end with Luffy and Law fighting against Doflamingo. I love the animation on Doflamingo's face right there. The sort of like hand-drawn, sort of heavy inked style. It looks really awesome. But the actual episode itself is actually really simple. The first half of the episode is pretty much just more of the same. All the other pirates from Kurita Coliseum trying to stop Doflamingo's family and trying to get up to Doflamingo and kick his ass. Same thing for Luffy, who pretty much still just does the same thing, riding around on the bull, and that's pretty much it. You do get to see him doing some cool moves like the Gatling, but really this is all just a mere appetizer before we get to the battle between Sabo and Fujitora, which, again, there's really just not that much to it, but there are some really cool elements. First, it's just Sabo versus Fujitora. The hype is already high, but I especially love how they build up his powers, how all the Marines, who are some of the most inept soldiers I've ever seen, you know, they're not as bad as, like, say, the Stormtroopers from Star Wars. They actually hit their target, but they never listen to their subordinates, especially frickin' Bastille, who told them, don't fire on him, don't shoot at him. And what do? They freaking fire a damn rocket launcher at him at point-blank range, and this just pisses off Sabo, and he starts just destroying all of them. It's basically just a great showcase for his powers, and what I really love about this is just, I got goosebumps all over my body watching this scene, because it just totally reminded me of Ace, especially the scenes where he's jumping up in the air, and all of the fire around him. He has to go through Bastille first, and this scene is great because, you know, Bastille just gets destroyed. You know, he's one of those characters you're like, yeah, maybe he'll get a good hit in there, maybe. No, he doesn't really do anything, but he does destroy some buildings in a very flashy manner, and I love the sound it makes when he actually swings his sword. It kind of sounds like someone is strumming an electric guitar. It's pretty damn awesome. But Sabo destroys him. I especially love the scene when he's engulfed in flames and actually holding his mask, and they for some reason just don't want us to see Bastille's face. That's when Fujitora decides, maybe I should actually get in there and do something, so he summons a meteorite. The problem is, the birdcage is covering Dressrosa Kingdom. The big-ass fiery meteorite just slams into the birdcage and ends up getting cut into multiple pieces, slamming into buildings, destroying everything in sight, and it lets you realize that Fujitora is a lot more destructive than Sabo is. He even comments on this fact, and then they have one final standoff at the very end of this week's episode. I especially love the theme in this week's episode, the brotherhood between Sabo and Luffy. It's really driven home, especially when he tells Fujitora that he would drop his duties as a revolutionary if it meant traveling across the world just to help out Luffy. That's how strong their brotherhood really is. It all ends with a big final standoff, to be continued screen. So what's the rundown on this week's episode of One Piece? It was okay. I was maybe hyping it up a little bit in my mind, but that's only because the first half of the episode is totally skippable. And it's kind of a bummer because the intro is so awesome. It's really good. I'm gonna have to watch it a few more times to really appreciate it, but I especially love the imagery when all the Straw Hat Pirates are falling from the sky and using their big techniques. They definitely focus on Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji a little bit, but as soon as you see Usopp on his big dragon, it's pretty freaking incredible. It really just makes you appreciate how rich this series is, especially when you see all the characters running side by side. And that's just the characters from the Dressrosa arc. That's just a small portion of the One Piece cast, and that's really cool. But the actual episode itself, first half, is okay. Basically just more of the same. A lot of stilled images of the pirates, you know. Basically it's a motion comic at this point. But when they finally get to Sabo and Fujitora, things really pick up. It's definitely the best part about this week's episode. I would almost say, like, go to the halfway point of the episode when they get to the eye catch in the middle and just watch from that point on, because really that other stuff when he's going up against the Marines isn't all that exciting. It's basically just to demonstrate how badass Sabo is, and we know how badass he is. But the second half of the episode definitely picked up, and it was a lot more exciting. But there were some interesting developments in this week's episode, and that's really what's interesting about this one. Just the concept that they're fighting, and they're going to continue to fight, is pretty awesome. We could have gotten a much worse episode out of this, but this was still pretty freaking stellar in my opinion. I love Sabo as a character. I think he's really awesome. I love how he sort of picked up the mantle of Ace, and I love how freaking crazy he is. Like, when he is, like, choking out Bastille and, like, grabbing his face and getting ready to crush his skull, he has the most insane look on his face that almost sort of shows that he might have a darker side to him, something that we don't quite know yet, but maybe that's going to come into play when the Revolutionaries actually join the story, whenever the hell that's going to happen. All I know is this was an exciting episode of One Piece that One Piece fans should definitely check out. If you're reading the manga version or you've been watching the anime, check out this week's episode. I'm giving it a 4 out of 5. I thought it was really exciting despite the fact that the first half was kind of slow, but the new intro was cool, lots of great imagery and some spoilery stuff, but still, it got me really pumped up. As a manga reader, as a One Piece fan, as a One Piece anime fan, I'm really excited for the coming episodes, and you guys should get excited too, because things are only going to get better from here on. Thank you guys for watching my review. Before you guys leave, make sure to tell me what you thought about this week's episode of One Piece. What did you think of the beginning of the battle between Sabo and Fujitora? And what do you want to see from the rest of the Dressrosa arc? And also, did you like the brand new intro? Did you have a favorite part from it? Please tell me in the comments section below. Make sure before you guys leave to like the video, subscribe to the channel, follow us on social media, and remember the spring anime season has just started and I'm reviewing a ton of brand new shows like Seraph of the End and freaking Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works, the brand new part of the season, and a few other surprises which are going to be popping up in the next couple weeks. So stay tuned for all of that. And thank you guys again, and as always, stay dandy, baby. Fujitora!